Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2026 Audi SQ8. Huge shout out to Audi Northlake for providing this SUV for me today. Take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. This SQ8 is finished off in Daytona Gray Pearl, and the MSRP is just over $108,000. This is powered by the 4-liter twin-turbo V8. It's paired to the 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 500 horsepower, 568 pound-feet of torque. It's sent through the Quattro all-wheel drive system, where this also features all-wheel steering. Weighs in around 5,200 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in around 4 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. And it also has a 22.5 gallon fuel tank. You'll expect to see 14 miles per gallon in the city and 20 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 117.9 inches. Its overall length is 196.6. It has a width of 78.5, a height of 67.2, and its ground clearance measures in at 5.8 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling, this model has a really nice look. It also features a few $1,000s worth of options, including the black optics package, which provides it with the gloss black surround for the hexagonal grille. Now you'll notice the latest Audi logo and design. There's also a forward camera and a sensors nicely incorporated into this grille. That is for all of the distance pacing and tech features. And then you'll notice some more gloss black accents and plenty of cutouts too. There's also parking sensors located throughout the lower section, more gloss black for the inlets on both sides, and then a dark housing for all of the LEDs. They are nicely integrated into the corners of this grille, where there's also the headlight washers too that you can use as needed, and then two very crisp lines coming down the hood to meet the top of that grille. Now, as we work our way to the side, this has a really nice set of gloss black wheels with that multi-spoke design, and you'll notice the black S-line brake calipers there. There's also body-colored fender arches. There's more gloss black for the lower side skirt, and it's also on the power folding side mirrors, where there's a camera and a turn signal. You'll notice more gloss black for all of the window trim. It's also on the roof racks, and then there's a full moon roof up top. Now, as we take a step back, there's some really nice crisp lines that flow nicely down the side. And with the Q8 in general, this has that coupe-like design. So if you're looking for that in your SUV, you get a little bit steeper rake for the rear glass here, but it still gives it a great look. Now there's also the body-colored spoiler with the brake light and then the wiper blade in the lower section. There's also LEDs for all of the lighting. There's the backup camera, all of the parking sensors, the Sport quad-tip dual exhaust. This is an upgrade, so you will hear this in just a little bit. And then with the factory hitch, this can tow around 7,700 pounds. Now you can also use the key fob or the control underneath to gain access to your cargo space, where of course it has the power liftgate. Now in back, this is a 2-row SUV, but you still get plenty of space. Even with that coupe design, you might lose a little bit of height, but it's really not that significant. Now this also has an adaptive suspension, so you can use those controls there to raise or lower the rear end of the vehicle. So if you're loading in items, that just makes it a little bit easier, of course. Now there's also a few nets. You have a 12-volt too, and then underneath the floor, you have a spare, not really for extra storage, but you can place some smaller things there if you need to. You also get a first aid kit, some cargo lights. There's this cover here that you can adjust as needed, and then you can also fold down the back seats to get even more space in a cargo. And then you have two controls up top where you can close the liftgate or lock the vehicle too. Now, if you do lock it, you can use any door handle to lock and unlock the vehicle, which is nice. And then for the interior, this model has Alcantara. There's also carbon fiber accents. You get a little bit of storage here, and there's also the automatic sunshades, so you can adjust those as needed. You get some storage down below, and then Bang & Olufsen for the audio. And then take a look at the leather seats, which have a really nice look to them. Now, in order to fold them down, you can use this control right here, and you can lock them into place, where as you can tell, you have a lot of space. It's almost flat, which is nice. And then you can unlock them and then lock them back into place. And they also move forwards and backwards. So depending on the leg space you need or the cargo space that you need, you can adjust these seats. Now, right in the middle, you'll notice the air vents. There's also all the temperature adjustments underneath, and these are even heated seats too, so you can go through those adjustments. There's auxiliaries down below. You have storage nets on both sides. And then at my height, 5'10", I have about 1.5 inches or so of headroom, and you can recline these seats ever so slightly. So this will make it a lot more comfortable cruising in the back. There's also the armrest where you have cup holders that will pop out, and you can fold this seat down individually for whatever reason. Now you'll notice you have a little bit of a pillar there, but you have these smaller cargo windows here, which will aid in better visibility. Now up front, you have the same design, of course. There's also the memory seating adjustments. Power folding side mirrors are also heated. There's all the window controls and then some storage down below. And the same design for the seats with the S badge in the upper section there. And then as we hop in, let's fire this up and take a listen to that V8. And coming back to the virtual cockpit now, you'll notice on the far left, there's engine temperature. On the far right is fuel. And then right in the middle, you can go through a lot of information using the controls on this left side. So you'll notice with the arrows, we can go left or right to gain access to all of this information. Now for the navigation, if you want to see that in full screen, simply just push on the view button, and now you can see that in full screen along with the rest of this information. So just depending on what you need to see, it's nice that you have those two different angles. Now this also has paddle shifters on both sides, and then on the right side you have your voice commands and Bluetooth, volume and tuning, and then a favorites button. So you can use that and set it up to what you use the most. You'll also notice we have the solid and perforated leather steering wheel, and on this left side there's the cruise control stock. Now you do get a lot of storage down below, more carbon fiber, your headlight adjustments, there's one air vent, and then you'll notice above the infotainment system, there's the trim accent for the functional vents. So that's tied in nicely. And then for the main screen, you have quite a lot that you can go through. So you'll notice you have that split view, and then you have several icons here that you can get in and use as needed. So if we go into vehicle, this is how we can get into the drive select. So you can go through these different driving modes depending on what you are doing. You can look at your seats, there's the lighting and visibility, so you can gain access to all that information. And then you have a few shortcuts on this left side. So you can pull up your navigation, you can get into your vehicle there, and then get back to home. Now underneath that, in between the screens, which is in the lower screen, you have engine start stop, a downhill assist. There's also favorites that you can set up. There's the heated steering wheel, and you can also shut that upper screen off. Now for the rest of the screen, this is for all the climates. So you'll see fan speed, temperature, where you'd like the air to go. This model has heated and ventilated seats, and you can also get into your rear adjustments and your heated steering wheel, which is nice there. You also have a few other recircs below. There's also a shortcut for the drive select, so the different modes that I showed earlier, and you also have a shortcut to the camera system. So with the 360 system, you can go through all of these angles along with having that top-down view, and you can also get into the 3D angle. So you can swipe around the vehicle this way. Now you also have another shortcut down below for your driving assistance. So you can customize that as needed, and there's also a physical volume knob too. Now there's two cup holders along with a little bit of space. You might be able to place the key fob there. And then this is how you put it into reverse. You have drive, and then you can also shift using the shifter or the paddle shifters, of course. And then behind that, there's the e-brake. There is an adjustment for this armrest, and you have some auxiliaries with a little bit of storage. There's also a locking glove box with more carbon fiber and some gloss black above that. You get garage door buttons underneath the rear view. There's also touch sensitive dome lights and controls for both the sunroof and sunshade. And then, like I mentioned earlier, with those rear cargo windows, it definitely makes it much easier to be able to see over both shoulders. As we set up behind the wheel now for the SQ8, this is definitely a very performance-oriented SUV that can basically do it all. Not really an off-road type of vehicle, but you have the height adjustment if you need to take it off the pavement. But this is more so a really performance-oriented SUV that's also practical. So if you're looking for a sports car, but you need that extra practicality, this is definitely a great option to go with, and you get that coupe-like design in the rear just to kind of mimic some of the coupes. So you don't have to sacrifice any performance if that's the type of vehicle you are looking to get with this SQ8. Now you can also go with the RSQ8, which is going to have a little bit more power. It's basically the same engine with different tuning, and it costs a lot more. So if you want almost a baby version, the SQ8 is definitely going to suffice. It'll cost a lot less, and you could do some modifications to it to kind of gain some of that power back from the RSQ8. So I think this is probably the best value for the performance and what you are getting. Now with it in dynamic mode, we have the aftermarket or the upgraded exhaust from second gear. Here we go. Minor acceleration, you can hear that exhaust, which is definitely beefy. And the paddles are also very responsive too. So like I said, this is going to give you performance without going too crazy, at the end of the day, it's a luxury-focused SUV with that suspension. It is going to offer you a very quiet and refined ride. I have a suspension similar to this in my BMW X5, so from experience, it's basically just floating on a cloud. So all these bumps in this road here, you don't really feel them. So if you're looking for that plush ride, you will definitely get that, but it will also stiffen up when you put it into a dynamic mode too, just to help with handling characteristics of this, taking some corners and things like that. So very versatile in its suspension. And with the executive package, this model also comes with the dual pane glass. So it is extremely quiet on the inside here. You're not really going to hear pretty much anything on the outside. We have a large truck in front of us, which I can't even hear from here. So with some of those packages, you can get a little bit more of those luxury comforts and creature comforts. And as far as driving this goes, I don't have too much driving experience with this, but I do get to drive a lot of the Audi SUVs. They're all relatively the same for the interior tech and all of that, and then the drive is just going to depend on that suspension. But this drives very nice. The seats are super comfortable, and at 5'10", I have about 3 inches or so of headroom, and this is a height adjustable seat. So you can be taller than me and still fit comfortably behind the wheel of this. It is definitely going to give you a very nice ride and feel. It's not as loud as the SQ8, so if you want a little bit more loudness, you can either put on a different exhaust or jump up to that car, and that exhaust really bumbles or burbles with the V8 engine. So with this, again, being more luxury focused, you can hear it under those accelerations. So on the upshifts, you can hear it slightly. And then as far as taking a corner here, you can definitely feel the weight of it. It's not a light SUV, but for its weight and what it is, it's taking these turns very well. And still in dynamic mode, second gear, here we go. And just a mild acceleration. Obviously this has so much more potential than what I'm doing today, but even with a slight acceleration, you can feel the power from this SQ8, and the paddles again are also very responsive. So it definitely adds a fun factor to this performance SUV that also has those luxury characteristics. So this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for this model. It is interesting to see for the 26-year model, this hasn't incorporated that curved screen that Audi has put in some of their other 2026 models. So it'll be interesting to see what Audi does with the Q8 platform in general and any changes that may be coming to this model. It's been like this for a few years now, and usually most auto manufacturers go quite a while with the tech that they have, but I like this setup. So it's nice that for this 26-year model, if you do like the dual screen setup, you can still get this in this configuration. But hopefully you can tell a little bit of car noise, but really not much to even think about with that extra added glass there. So it's just going to give you a great point A to point B vehicle, but you can also do it having some fun with the performance that you do get from this model. And with its all-wheel steering, this isn't a long vehicle. This is a tight road here, so we may have to back up, but it's definitely very helpful in tighter situations like this. So while you may not see it drastically, you can feel the back end kick out slightly. So it will help reduce your turning radius, which is definitely helpful, especially for city driving and things like that. But we'll do one more acceleration here, just in normal mode. And that is going to wrap it up for the 2026 Audi SQ8. Once again, huge shout out to Audi Northlake for providing this SUV for me today. Take a look at their website, give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads, and I will see you all in the next video.